The fake heiress stole my ID card and married a homeless man. By the time my biological parents found me, the homeless man had already moved in. He threw down the marriage certificate, saying, "My wife is a wealthy heiress, so as her husband, shouldn't I also get a share of the family fortune?" The fake heiress sneered triumphantly beside him. "Sister, I don't mean to be harsh, but you must have been desperate to marry a homeless man. Mom and Dad will never acknowledge a daughter as tainted as you." I was left speechless and utterly devastated. Since the marriage certificate was real, no one believed me. Later, I was abandoned by the wealthy family, suffered domestic violence from a homeless man with no way to complain, and wanted a divorce but was delayed due to the cooling-off period. As the cooling-off period was about to end, the homeless man withdrew the divorce application, sneering wickedly, "Want a divorce? No way. In my world, there's only widowhood." As soon as he said that, I bought rat poison to end it all with him. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day the fake heiress stole my ID card. This time, I stole hers first. When I got the ID card of the fake heiress, Jenny James, I had already found the homeless man who loved domestic violence in my previous life. He lay like a pile of mud on a park bench, reeking of foul odor, as passers-by pinched their noses and hurried past. The reason Jenny James chose him was because she had been playing around before, got drunk, and was abandoned on the road. He picked her up and took her under a bridge, where he filmed an indecent video of the two of them, so Jenny James begged him, promising to find him a wife if he would let her go. At this time, the James family had already discovered my identity. Feeling deeply threatened, Jenny James framed me. I took out my phone and glanced at my reflection, as a beauty blogger. It wasn't difficult to transform into Jenny James's appearance. Our figures and heights were similar, making it hard to tell us apart. In my previous life, she also hired someone to make her look like me, and with a stolen ID card, she decided my fate. I held back my disgust and walked over. The man immediately stood up when he saw me. "Woman, you're here. Did you miss me?" I suppressed the hatred in my heart. In my past life, Jenny James made me suffer so much. This man tormented me. And the James family helped Jenny James suppress me, even saying things like, "Since you like beggars so much, then never divorce him." Every time I tried to run, the James family would catch me. The eldest brother of the James family even broke my leg. Afraid that I would seek help from others and expose this scandal of the James family, I was completely powerless to resist. I was just a small-town exam taker, without power or influence, destined to be trampled upon by them for the rest of my life. And now that I've been reborn, I can finally change my own fate. The James family, Jenny James, they will all pay for the suffering of my past life. I imitated Jenny James's sweet, coquettish voice and said to him, "Let's go get married." I put on a mask because being close to him made me feel nauseous. What? He was overwhelmed by the unexpected favor, his grimy face leaning in close to me. The foul odor made me take 2 steps back. In this June weather, he was like a walking trash can. "This person is very lazy." Having served time for rape, after being released, he didn't look for a job, and even had his pinky finger cut off for stealing. In my previous life, I fought back against his domestic violence, but Jenny James had people watching us. Whenever it looked like he couldn't overpower me, someone would rush in to help him. He also told the homeless man, "If she calls the police, just say you and your wife got into a fight. You'll be fine, but don't mention me." I clenched my fists, determined to make Jenny James taste the same pain in this lifetime. I don't know if this rebirth is a stroke of luck from heaven or just a fleeting dream, but I will still fight back and seize every chance to survive. "Let's go." I took him to the Civil Affairs Bureau. I had already had someone Photoshop our marriage certificate photo, so everything went smoothly. The divorce area was packed with people, while the marriage area had only us. The staff, as if trying to meet a quota, didn't ask us any other questions and immediately stamped the documents. When I got the certificate, I looked at the homeless man. His name on the marriage certificate was Bob. "I'm going home now. Come over later, and I'll introduce you to my parents. Here's my address." I handed him a business card for Jenny James. He took it and excitedly kissed it. "Wife, I told you, you don't need to introduce me to anyone else. I like someone as fair and tender as you, much better than the old ladies in the village." I couldn't bear to listen any longer, so I quickly hailed a taxi and left, holding the marriage certificate and ID card. I went to find Jenny James. Jenny James was still sound asleep under the bridge. I hid the marriage certificate and ID card in the inner layer of her bag, then I turned and left, leading a sanitation worker to discover her sleeping there. "Miss, are you feeling unwell? Why are you sleeping under the bridge?" The auntie woke her up, looking somewhat concerned. Jenny James's head felt a bit heavy and dizzy. She patted her forehead, recalling that she had intended to go steal Susan's ID card, but as soon as she reached the small path, someone had knocked her out from behind. Now, she had just woken up. Glancing at the time, she quickly stood up. There's no time to lose. She gritted her teeth in frustration. Her parents were going to pick up Susan at 6 o'clock this afternoon. It's already 4:30, and she doesn't have time to steal Susan's ID card. Even if she managed to steal it, the Civil Affairs Bureau would already be closed. Which of her enemies is secretly harming her at this moment? Couldn't they have chosen a different time? Besides, she was walking on this small path, and no one knew she would be here today. Miss, you. The sanitation aunt looked at her with some concern. Jenny James pushed her away. Get lost, don't touch me, it's disgusting. How dare someone like you, a lowly person, lay a hand on a young lady like me? After saying that, she quickly walked away. The sanitation aunt was furious. What kind of person is that, who raised such an ill-mannered thing? I returned to the rented cottage, and life here still feels like a distant dream. In my previous life, I got into a top-tier university, with a bright future ahead, but it was all ruined because of them. In this life, I will study, and I will also take the James family. Don't mess with the small-town exam warriors. In my previous life, I couldn't change my fate because I was crushed by power from the very beginning. In this life, I can change my fate. After removing my makeup, I burned the clothes and wig I wore today. Destroying all traces, I made a cup of instant noodles and saw that it was almost 6 o'clock. I was ready to face everything. Knock, knock, knock. The small apartment I rent is far from school, and I have to take the subway to commute, but it's cheap. I timidly asked through the door, "Who is it?" "Susan, it's me, Auntie Lucy." Hearing the voice of the community aunt, I opened the door and saw a group of people. I pushed up my glasses and cautiously asked, "Auntie Lee, who are these people?" I glanced around. Mr. and Mrs. James, the eldest brother Simon James, the second brother Alan James, the third brother Bruce James, and Jenny James. These people are the ones I hate most in my life, and now all that's missing is Bob. Oh, Susan, you've finally seen the light of day. These are your biological parents. Do you remember the blood donation event organized by the community a while ago? Your parents have been searching for you for years. After the blood donation, they compared the results and found out that you are the child they've been looking for all this time. Aunt Lee believed at first glance that Mrs. James was your mother. You two really look like mother and daughter, carved from the same mold. Upon hearing this, Mrs. James's eyes also reddened. She quickly stepped forward and hugged me, saying, "My dear daughter, you've suffered so much all these years." I portrayed being at a loss to perfection, but inwardly, I sneered. The James family only cared about profit. They had no regard for family bonds at all. They wanted to bring me back because Mrs. James was ill and needed my bone marrow. After what happened between me and Bob, she thought I was dirty, yet she still coerced and tempted me into donating my bone marrow. This was also the reason for my frail health later on. Aunt Lee wiped the tears from the corner of her eye. "Susan, you've really endured hardship and now come to sweetness. This child is a student at Yale University, truly promising." Brother James, who had initially looked down on me, was somewhat surprised upon hearing that I was a student at Yale University, and his gaze toward me softened a little. Father James also shed a few symbolic tears. "It's good to have you back. It's good to have you back." Jenny James clenched her fists tightly, knowing that since she hadn't managed to ruin me this time, it would be much harder next time. "Are you really my mother?" I looked at Mrs. James. "Then why did you abandon me back then?" Her body stiffened, and her voice choked up. "Child, it's not that I didn't want you. You were stolen from me. By the time I realized it, it was too late. I even offered a reward of 100,000 yuan, but no one could find you." Elder brother James handed over the paternity test report. "Little sister, what are you studying at Yale University?" I took the paternity test and answered his question. "I'm a freshman in the finance department." Simon James immediately asked, "So, do you know Edwin Chen?" I knew what he was trying to do and nodded. "Edwin Chen from our class. I have some connection with him." Edwin Chen, the young master of the Chen family. Recently, the Chen family and the James family were about to collaborate on a major business deal, and the Liu family also wanted to get involved. If the Liu family participated, the James family would be out of luck. Edwin Chen, the only son of the Chen family, is a talented student in the finance department of Yale University. Many people want to build a good relationship with him. I've met Edwin Chen, but we're not close, and there's even some animosity between us. To survive, I can do whatever it takes, and being friends with him isn't out of the question. Sister, you're amazing." Alan James quickly stepped forward. "From now on, you're part of the James family. This is a gift from your second brother." He took out a box containing an exquisite LV bracelet. Jenny James dug her nails into her palm. Didn't second brother say this thing was meant for her? Why was it given to this country bumpkin instead? Simon James took out a box containing an exquisite necklace. The large diamonds sparkled under the dim yellow light of the rented room. "This is a gift from Big Brother." Third brother Bruce James also brought out a box, inside of which was a jade green bracelet, just by its appearance. It was clearly not cheap. "This is an emerald I got from a recent gemstone gamble. I had it made into a bracelet for my little sister." I looked at Aunt Lee, then at my parents. They were all waiting expectantly for me to accept the gifts. My father even handed over the contract on the spot, saying, "I know I've let you down, so I'm giving you 5% of the company's shares as a gift." "Dad," Jenny James couldn't believe it. She had been in this family for 18 years and had never received any company shares, yet her father was giving them directly to Susan. Although I was somewhat surprised, I understood deep down that the business deal with the Chen family was now resting on my shoulders. My mother, Wendy, glanced at Jenny James and said, "Jenny James, after all, Susan has suffered for so many years. It's only right that we compensate her. Now that Susan is back, you two are sisters. Support each other well and work together to take the James family's business to new heights." As soon as she said this, the others also nodded in agreement. "From now on, I'll have 2 younger sisters. Our James family is lively again." "How wonderful, sister. Please accept the gift. From now on, we are one family." I seemed unaware of their insincerity, instead moved to accept their gifts, my eyes reddening. I thought I was an orphan, but now I have family again. How wonderful. How wonderful. They breathed a sigh of relief, thinking to themselves that someone from a poor, remote place was indeed easy to fool, won over by just a few small favors. "Susan, Aunt Lee is happy for you too," Aunt Lee said, wiping tears from the corner of her eye. If the James family members were all insincere, then Aunt Lee's tears were truly shed in joy for me. In my previous life, when I was beaten, she went to help me call the police. But there was nothing she could do. She was just an ordinary middle-aged woman. The James family excitedly welcomed me home. I packed some clothes and didn't even take a bite of the instant noodles I had prepared. They said the servants had already cooked a meal. The instant noodles were thrown into the trash. The thick iron door closed, and the cramped, narrow rental room faded from my sight. As soon as the car arrived at the James family's doorstep, a homeless man approached. He was still wearing the same clothes from earlier that day, a t-shirt so greasy that even mosquitoes would slip on it, with oily hair that he haphazardly ruffled a few times, leaving it stiffly in place. Simon James opened the car door and immediately became furious upon seeing Bob. "Where did this beggar come from? Get lost right now. This is no place for you." "Security? Where's security? How could they let someone like this in?" When Jenny James saw Bob, she didn't even want to get out of the car, because she knew this person was here for her. But how did he find out about her identity? If she had successfully stolen the ID card and gotten married today, she might have even felt a bit of schadenfreude, thinking it was good that he came. But since she didn't succeed, his purpose for coming was clearly her. "Jenny James, why aren't you getting out of the car?" Alan James, who doted on Jenny James the most, looked at her affectionately. "Don't worry, even though Susan is back, you're still my sister, and I won't let her bully you." Alan James held Jenny James's hand. "I'll give you 10 LV bracelets tomorrow, even prettier than hers. Don't be angry." Jenny James's face turned pale. Seeing Bob outside the car window, she couldn't help but recall what happened last month. She had sneaked out to drink, and everyone was drunk. She had no idea where she was. When she woke up again, her body was covered in marks, and Bob's yellowed teeth were still gnawing at her face. Jenny James felt a bit nauseous. Alan James patted her head. "We're home, my little princess." I stood behind my mother, quietly waiting for all of this to happen. In my previous life, when they found out that Bob had married me, everyone was furious. My father even slapped me, and my mother scolded me for being shameless. My 3 older brothers bluntly called me dirty, saying they had no such sister, that I had disgraced the James family, hurling all kinds of insults at me. I tried to explain to them that I hadn't done it, that I didn't acknowledge the marriage certificate, and that the photos were edited, but they didn't believe me. "If you had nothing to do with him, why would he marry you? Why would he take photos with you? And how did you get your identification? Stop pretending, you're just a filthy, despicable thing. Recalling the insults I had endured earlier, my anger still burned in my chest, and my hands trembled uncontrollably. What's wrong, Susan? Wendy looked at me with affection. I shook my head. I'm scared of this dirty homeless man. Wendy looked at the homeless man with a flash of disgust in her eyes. Who knows where he came from? What are the security guards in this community even doing? Bruce James opened the main door, and the housekeeper immediately stepped out. Master. Madam, young master, young miss, the meal is ready. He looked at me, his eyes instantly reddening. This must be Miss Susan. You've finally returned. The master and madam have finally welcomed their beloved daughter home. I'm just so overjoyed. If he hadn't sent people to help Bob beat me in my past life, I might have believed his tears. I looked at him obediently. Hello, Uncle Butler. Good, good, good. He was so excited that he finally noticed the homeless man at the door. His eyes filled with disgust. I already told you, your wife isn't here. Get lost now, or I'll break your legs. Uncle Leo, what's going on? Simon James glanced at the homeless man, who looked disdainful. Was he here to find his wife? Uncle Leo shook his head. He came at 5 o'clock, saying his wife lives here and demanding we let him in. I knew he was just here to cause trouble, so I had someone gag him and beat him out. I didn't expect him to come back. Jenny James also listened to the conversation on the other end, her face instantly turning pale as all the strength drained from her body. It's over, everything is over. Evan James immediately flared up. How dare you? Our James family has no such wife. Break his legs and throw him out. Bob also became furious. I am the son-in-law of your James family, and I will inherit the James family's company in the future. If you dare to hit me, I'll make you eat shit in the future. Bruce James was naturally hot-tempered. Upon hearing the vagrant's words, he rushed forward to hit him. Unexpectedly, the vagrant threw out a red booklet. Take a good look. I am your James family's Jenny James's husband. This is a marriage certificate with an official seal. A slight smile curled at the corner of my mouth. The show was about to begin. Upon hearing his words, Jenny James froze completely. Alan James stared at the red booklet on the ground, looking at Jenny James in disbelief. Jenny James, do you know him? Jenny James quickly shook her head, grabbed his hand, and urgently explained, second brother, I don't know him, he's slandering me. Hurry up and have someone beat him out, or better yet, beat him to death. Outrageous. Evan James's face flushed red with anger. Faced with such a scoundrel, he couldn't control his emotions for a moment. My voice was also filled with anger. Forgery of a marriage certificate is illegal. Alan James immediately took out his phone to call the police. You dare to cause trouble here, you piece of trash. I'll make sure you rot in jail. Perhaps frightened by the prospect of imprisonment, Bob shoved the marriage certificate into the butler's hands. I didn't forge the marriage certificate. This is real. Look. He also wanted to hand it to his father-in-law, but he couldn't reach him, so he gave it to the butler instead. The butler glanced at it, saw the official seal and the code from the Civil Affairs Bureau, then looked at the photo and ID number on it. Trembling, he handed the marriage certificate to Evan James. Evan James snatched it away, saw that the information on it was indeed accurate, and threw the marriage certificate on the ground. Jenny James, get over here. Don't call the police yet. Our family can't afford this kind of disgrace. Alan James's face turned as cold as frost as he put his phone away. Jenny James got out of the car with a pale face, her voice as faint as a mosquito's hum. Dad, I don't know him, you don't know me. Bob was already seething with anger. She was the one who had sought him out for marriage, and now she was denying it. What did that mean? Alan James was already filled with murderous intent. My sister says she doesn't know you, so she doesn't know you. Get lost now. Ha ha ha. Bob burst into laughter. You deny it after getting the marriage certificate with me. Last month, we spent a wild night together, and I remember the red mole on your inner thigh clearly. Jenny James slumped to the ground, but Alan James didn't go to help her up, because he also knew about that mole. Evan James, having weathered many storms, saw the situation and knew the marriage certificate was genuine. The area around their villa was filled with prominent families. This matter must not be known to them. Let's talk inside, he said, quickly walking in. Wendy's chest was also heaving. I held her hand as we entered the door. Mom, don't let yourself get too upset. Bruce James and Simon James were also in disbelief. Their beloved sister, whom they had always cherished, had actually gone and married such a homeless man. In their eyes, the kind of person who would do such a thing was someone like Susan, an ignorant and impoverished individual. Jenny James stared at the marriage certificate, her face also filled with disbelief. She was still dazed when she was brought into the James family's living room. It's impossible, this isn't me, this isn't me. Bob had already sat down on the sofa, picked up a banana, and started eating. Honey, I know what you like about me. After all, you were just as happy as I was that night. You must be reluctant to let me go. You're talking nonsense. Jenny James pointed at him. Get out. I could never marry you. This must be something you forged. Bob didn't understand why she wouldn't admit it, but he had already guessed. He had been waiting at the door for several hours today and heard that she wasn't the biological daughter. She must want to marry him to get a larger share of the inheritance. She didn't want to say it so bluntly, so she just kept up the act. The deed was done, and she didn't really need to pretend anymore. He already understood her intentions, after all. Once a woman has given herself to a man, she becomes his wife. No matter what she does, she can't escape, which is why she sought to marry him. This marriage certificate is genuine. After examining it for a long time, the butler could only sigh. Go get a divorce. Wendy clutched her chest. Jenny James, you've let me down so much. Go get divorced tomorrow. Jenny James knelt at Wendy's feet, weeping bitterly. All right, Mom, I really don't know how I got the marriage certificate with him. Someone must have impersonated me to get married. Suddenly, she thought of something and pointed at me. It's you, you bitch. Was it you who drugged me and then used my ID to get married? I pointed at myself, looking innocent and pained. Jenny James, this is my first time meeting the family, and my first time meeting you. How could I possibly have your photo? How could I know you would be there? And how could I know your husband? From what he said. You two are very familiar. He even knows about the mole on your leg. Jenny James lunged at me to hit me, and I quickly hid behind Bruce James. Her sharp nails scratched Bruce James's face as she clawed at him like a madwoman. You bitch, you ruined me. It was you who ruined me. The James family all thought Jenny James had gone mad. Susan was right. She had no idea the James family even existed. The marriage certificate was issued at noon, and according to Aunt Lee, Susan was tutoring her grandson in math at that time, so how could she possibly have done such a thing? As for Susan, she went out wearing a mask today. Bruce James, who had been scratched by her, threw her onto the sofa, his face already covered in blood. You're insane, he grimaced in pain, with nail marks all over his eyelids, almost disfiguring him. Bob had already opened her bag and pulled out the marriage certificate inside. You said you didn't know about this. So why is there a marriage certificate with me in your bag? Everyone stared at the red booklet in his hand, which had indeed just been taken out of the bag Jenny James was carrying. Jenny James suddenly remembered something and pointed at me. It was you. You're the one who drugged me. I covered my chest, tears welling up in my eyes. Sister, I know you don't want me back, but you can't just throw all this dirt at me. I didn't even know you before. How could I have drugged you, Jenny James? Evan James's tone was sharp. You've done such a disgraceful thing. Our James family can no longer keep you. The collaboration with the Chen family is crucial. If the James family were to be involved in any scandal now, the losses could amount to billions. They couldn't afford to gamble, so Jenny James had to be sacrificed. Jenny James knelt and grabbed his leg. Dad, it really wasn't me, Dad. It was that bitch Susan who framed me, Dad. Go check at the Civil Affairs Bureau. You'll definitely find out who went to get the marriage certificate. Evan James kicked her away. How do you explain knowing him? Jenny James told the truth. She knew that if she didn't come clean, she would truly be abandoned. Dad, last month I was in a bad mood and got drunk. I don't know how I woke up and ended up with him. Dad, believe me, I really had no idea. Alan James remembered something, and looking at that disgusting homeless man again. His face turned green. I was enjoying the show, but still maintained a pitiful and innocent appearance, so no one would suspect me. Dad, maybe the Liu family is behind this. Simon James suddenly spoke up. After all, she is the sister I have cherished for over a decade. I can't bear to see her truly suffer with a homeless man. Bruce James gritted his teeth and also spoke up for Jenny James. That's right, Dad. It must be the Liu family trying to ruin the James family's reputation. So they orchestrated all of this. I couldn't help but laugh inwardly. In my past life, no one spoke a single word in my defense. Bob started eating an apple again and was even about to head to the dining table for a meal, completely disregarding any sense of propriety. Alan James really couldn't hold back and pinned him to the ground, beating him fiercely. No one stopped him, and Bob spat out blood, losing several teeth. He mumbled, I've already contacted people. If I die or get hurt, they'll release the video of me and Jenny James. Alan James froze, sitting on the ground with his head in his hands. Seeing this, Bob pinned him down and kicked him in his most vulnerable spot. The kick was so vicious that Alan James turned pale, clutching between his legs and nearly passing out. Everyone saw blood on the ground. It was from between his legs. Evan James shouted, "Quick, call an ambulance." Bob took 2 steps back, swallowing hard. "It's not my fault. He hit me first, honey. You have to back me up, or if I go to jail, our child won't be able to take the civil service exam." The ambulance arrived quickly, and a group of people hurriedly followed it to the hospital. After emergency treatment lasted until midnight, the doctor shook his head. "The injuries are too severe. He's still alive, but he's done for." Wendy fainted on the spot. Jenny James's face turned pale. Alan James punched the wall, and Bruce James, his face covered in band-aids, wished he could kill Bob right then and there. Evan James seemed to have aged 10 years overnight. They hired a caregiver to look after the unconscious Alan James, while the others returned home. Bob was still locked up in the James family's home. He wasn't afraid of what they might do to him, because he still had the video of Jenny James, and if anything happened to him, the James family wouldn't get off easy either. As soon as Jenny James returned home, she started crying. Wendy, who had just woken up, heard her sobs. "Cry, cry, cry. If it weren't for you, how could Sam have? It's all your fault, you filthy thing." Jenny James's tears streamed down her face. I'm sorry, Mom, I should just die. If I die, he won't be able to threaten the James family anymore." Woo-woo. I silently gave her a thumbs up in my heart. What a clever little thing, knowing they wouldn't let her die. After all these years, even raising a dog would have fostered some affection, let alone a daughter they've always cherished. "Go get a divorce tomorrow." After saying this, Evan James quickly went upstairs. Jenny James nodded repeatedly, promising she would definitely go to get a divorce tomorrow. I watched all of this, knowing that tomorrow is Saturday and the Civil Affairs Bureau is closed. Moreover, this divorce won't be easy to finalize. Bob is a lazy man, but he's not completely foolish. He knows the difference between a full meal and a lifetime of full meals. Living in such a large villa with servants to take care of him, why would he ever need to sleep in a park again? He directly slept on his wife's soft, fragrant little bed, with a beauty in his arms and no lack of money. Where else could he find such a life? How could he possibly divorce? Simon James and Bruce James went upstairs. Wendy also went to rest, and I returned to my own room. Although it was converted from a guest room in the James family, it was still larger than the rental I lived in. I wasn't picky about it, because what I've always wanted was never a princess room, but the entire James family. That night, everyone in the James family had their own thoughts, and no one wanted to bring up the matter. Jenny James hadn't yet thought of a way to resolve the situation, so she could only lock Bob up for now. The next day, Bob was confined in the storage room, and everyone's life continued as usual. However, Evan James had no intention of letting them off. In preparation for the upcoming collaboration with the Chen family, he discussed with everyone, "Next week, we will hold a family recognition banquet," then announced the severance of ties with Jenny James to preserve the James family's reputation, and make other plans afterward. Everyone else fell silent. Jenny James wanted to make a scene, but she also knew that if she continued, she would gain nothing, so she could only nod obediently, striving to secure the greatest benefit for herself. Evan James breathed a sigh of relief. "Then it's settled. You two will go get divorced on Monday." Yes, I didn't say a word, because I knew that getting a divorce was simply impossible. Bob kept shouting in the storage room every day. When Monday came, he refused to go through with the divorce, demanding 100 million yuan to agree to it. Everyone was at a loss with him. I don't know what Jenny James said to him, but that evening, she found me while I was reading and made me a cup of coffee. "Sister, there's no need for us to be so hostile. We can still be good sisters from now on. This is the coffee I made for you. I don't like coffee." A weasel paying New Year's greetings to a chicken. I could already guess what she was up to. However, she did give me a relatively straightforward way to retaliate, but since it was made by my sister herself, I can't let it go to waste. How about this? We each drink half, toasting to our sisterly bond. Jenny James hesitated for a moment upon hearing this, but after a brief thought, she nodded and said, "All right." She poured 2 cups, and I looked at her, saying, "You drink first. Let's drink together. Cheers." I find it somewhat amusing. This person really has no brains. To have lost to such a person in my past life. I took a sip, then sat in the chair and, turning my back to her, spat it into the trash can. I moved quickly, so Jenny James didn't notice. Then, "Sister, You go ahead and get busy, I'm going to bed first. She drank it, and now she's going to find second brother. I nodded. Jenny James went to find Bob first, asking him to come to my room. But Bob suddenly changed his mind. I'm already married to you. I don't want any other woman. Jenny James immediately became furious. I already told you, it wasn't me who married you. As long as you sleep with the legitimate eldest daughter, won't you have money to worry about? In her panic, she ran to the living room, grabbed a dagger, and pointed it at him. I didn't marry you. You'd better listen to me. Let's get a divorce. Divorce is fine, Bob said, looking at her. I want 20% of the James family's shares. Are you dreaming? Jenny James really wanted to kill him, but if she got married again later, she would be a divorcee, and marrying into a prominent family would be impossible. Bob sat back down on the floor. Then there's nothing to discuss. She took a deep breath. I'll give you $1 million, and you'll listen to me now. Bob smiled. $1 billion? Jenny James was almost at her breaking point. Where would I get that much money? Bob laughed. You don't have it, but the James family does. You testify for me tomorrow. The person you married is not me. Bob remained arrogant. Give me $100 million. You. Jenny James was almost beyond caring. She just wanted to kill him. Bob moved closer to her. If you kill me, tomorrow all your photos and videos will be known to the entire internet. Jenny James pointed the knife at him. Don't come any closer. Bob snatched the knife from her and held her in his arms. Woman. You smell so good. Jenny James tried to struggle, but Bob tied her hands. She wanted to run but couldn't escape. On top of that, the drug she had intended to give me was all drunk by herself, and now she was even more unable to control herself. I heard the whole thing at the door. I have to say, Jenny James is both foolish and wicked, and Bob is the kind of person who has no shame and no regard for his own life. Hearing the sounds coming from inside, a slight smile curled at the corner of my mouth. Wendy's cat was missing. Whenever she felt upset, she liked to hold her cat and talk to it. The kitten had run out earlier and hadn't returned, so she was a bit worried. She ran into Simon James, who had come downstairs for a drink of water. White is missing. Can you help me look for him? Sure. I also happened to come downstairs, and she asked me to help search as well. This little cat has been with her for 8 years, and she has a deep emotional bond with it. Today, she's feeling down, so she needs it even more. Simon James walked to the door of the storage room and heard noises inside. Thinking it was White causing trouble, he opened the door and froze in shock. I also walked over, and Wendy, hearing the commotion, came over as well. Seeing the naked man and woman entangled together, she fainted on the spot. Simon James was at a loss for words. I screamed and ran away, hearing the noise. The servants of the James family thought something had happened and rushed over as well, seeing the two of them frantically pulling at their clothes to cover themselves. Many people were at a loss for words. Evan James ordered the butler, dragged them away and beat them to death. Dad, Simon James shook his head. Killing someone in front of so many people would inevitably lead to rumors spreading. Evan James no longer held any father-daughter affection for Jenny James. She truly made him feel disgusted to the point of wanting to vomit. Jenny James came over to grab Simon James's pant leg, crying that she wasn't willing, but he had seen her earlier behavior. He kicked her away. From now on, you are no longer a member of the James family. I only have Susan as my sister, the housekeeper sighed, draping a towel over Jenny James. You all, take her back to her room. Several maids took Jenny James away to clean her up. Simon James looked at Bob. I will give you a sum of money to leave. Unless you give me $100 million, I'm not going anywhere. Simon James's eyes darkened. All right, I'll go deposit the money now. He turned and left the house. Bob was overjoyed, never expecting he could have such incredible luck. 100 million yuan was enough for him to live lavishly for the rest of his life, and once he spent it all, he could always come back for more. Ha ha ha. He still had those videos saved, and he had already told Harry that if he didn't contact him for more than 3 days, he would release the videos all over the internet. He wasn't afraid of them dealing with him at all. Late at night, Bob was still dreaming of getting rich overnight when Simon James returned. He was carrying a large suitcase. Let's go. I'll give you the money once we leave the James family. Bob glanced at the suitcase. Simon James opened it, revealing stacks of bright red banknotes inside. Bob immediately followed him out, practically tripping over himself in excitement. After getting in the car, Bob acted like a boss, saying, Jenny James really tastes great. Simon James thought of his sister, whom he had cherished for 18 years, and then of his brother still lying in the hospital. He clenched his fists tightly. He took Bob to the outskirts of the city. as soon as Bob got out of the car. Several people grabbed his hands and feet. It was then that he noticed another car behind them. Those people were wearing masks. Simon James looked at him and said, "Bob, you deserve to die." After saying that, he kicked him hard in his most vulnerable spot. Bob was restrained and unable to move, forced to endure the painful kicks. He continued kicking until Bob was beaten unconscious. Then had someone splash water on him to wake him up, only to resume the brutal assault. Bob remained conscious. Slowly tortured to death by him, he watched his hands and legs gradually detach, screaming in agony. It was already the next morning by the time he was tortured to death. After cleaning up the traces here, Simon James returned to the James family. What he didn't know was that all of this had been captured by a hidden camera in the car. Early in the morning, I made porridge for the James family parents, sitting on the sofa. I checked my beauty blogger account, where fans were urging me to update. But I won't be posting anymore. After all, I don't need the money now. What's more important is to work harder to secure my place in the James family and learn how to manage the company. After drinking the porridge, the James family parents praised me as a good child. When Simon James returned, I went to the parking lot, took down the 2 cameras hidden there, and stashed them away. Just as I returned to the living room, Jenny James woke up. She looked utterly exhausted. And seeing me only made her angrier. She picked up a teacup and threw it at me, shouting, "You bitch, it's all your fault. It's all because of you. Why did you have to come back? Even if it's to feign weakness, I won't let myself get hurt." So, when the James family parents came downstairs, she was still smashing things like a madwoman. "Jenny James," Evan James roared angrily, "lock Jenny James up, without my permission. She is not to leave the James household for even a step." "Yes." Jenny James was still cursing at me, while Evan James sat across from me. "Tomorrow, we will invite celebrities from all walks of life to attend the family recognition banquet, and I will announce that you are the only daughter of the James family." He already knew what Sam had done. If what that beggar said was true, Jenny James was already a useless pawn. If he didn't abandon her, the entire James family would be dragged into hell. I nodded obediently. "I'll listen to you." He was very satisfied with my performance. Moreover, I was a student at the country's top university, and he had even checked that I entered Yale University as the top scorer in the province, which made me even more valuable. Jenny James stopped in her tracks at the top of the stairs upon hearing his words. His only daughter. What about me? She looked at her mother, who stared back with disgust, while her father's eyes seemed to wish her dead. Is this the home she had lived in for 18 years? "I'll send Jenny James abroad tomorrow." "Yes," I nodded. Jenny James was incredulous, but before she could say anything, Uncle Leo covered her mouth and dragged her upstairs to lock her in. Wendy took my hand. "My dear daughter, you've suffered all these years. You truly are my child, well-mannered and polite, unlike some filthy things. They really are dirty seeds." I remained silent, just leaning on her shoulder. In my past life, she hadn't said that. Tomorrow, the family recognition banquet. Jenny James certainly won't let it go easily. The next day, indeed, many dignitaries and prominent figures arrived. Alan James was still in the hospital, while the James family claimed he was abroad for work. Bruce James didn't show up either, having been scratched up like a flower cat, making him unfit to be seen. It was always Simon James who greeted the guests. "Mr. Chen, long time no see." Simon James greeted Edwin Chen. However, Edwin Chen was scanning the crowd for someone. His handsome face filled with indifference. "I heard your newly recognized sister is called Susan." Simon James understood in his heart that Mr. Chen, who never liked attending banquets, had really come for me. Smiling, he said, "Yes, Susan also mentioned that she is your classmate, and you both are in the finance department at Yale University." "Oh, what did she say?" Edwin Chen raised his eyebrows slightly. "She said she has some connection with you." "Connection?" Edwin Chen thought of the girl who always tried to outdo him in exams. "There is indeed some connection. However, it's more likely that we're just sworn enemies. My sister is here, Mr. Chen, you can talk to her." Simon James pointed at me as I came down the stairs, knowing that the business between the Chen and James families was about to be settled, and his smile stretched from ear to ear. Edwin Chen walked over, and when I saw him, I tightened my grip on Wendy's hand. That jinx actually came. "I hope he doesn't cause any trouble." Evan James led me onto the stage and introduced me to everyone. "Susan is my proudest daughter, and our James family has only this one daughter. I heard Miss Susan was the top scorer in the province." Exactly. Back then both Peking University and Yale University were fighting to recruit her. Truly a member of the James family. both intelligent and beautiful. Edwin Chen just stared at me intently. He had never seen me like this before. At school, I wore black-rimmed glasses, dressed in casual clothes all year round, with thick bangs covering most of my forehead, nothing particularly distinctive, but at this moment, I was wearing a blue diamond-studded gown, with sparkling stars scattered across it, like a fairy descending to earth. My face, incredibly beautiful, was adorned with a smile, and I wore a silver crown on my head, with long, waterfall-like hair cascading down to my waist. After Evan James finished speaking, everyone applauded enthusiastically. At that moment, the large screen behind them suddenly played a terrifying scene. It was clearly a video of Simon James killing Bob. Oh my God, what happened? The eldest son of the James family has killed someone. How brutal. At this moment, the police also arrived and apprehended the stunned Simon James. Jenny James walked out laughing loudly. Don't even think about sending me away. I won't go. I am the young lady of the James family. You. Wendy fainted once again, watching his eldest son being taken away. Evan James clutched his chest and collapsed straight to the ground. I helped Uncle Leo quickly handle the remaining matters. While Jenny James had gone mad, it was unclear what had triggered her, but she kept insisting she was the eldest daughter of the James family, alternating between crying and laughing. Edwin Chen walked up to me, crouched down, and curled the corner of his mouth. You might need my help. I glanced at him, picked up the flower on the ground, and asked, will you help me? Men, use them when they're useful, discard them when they're not, of course. He lifted my chin. I've been wondering how to make you surrender since you have no weaknesses. Who would have thought you'd come knocking on my door like this? We've been competing for a year now, all because back on the court, the ball he threw hit me, and I picked it up and threw it back. That's how our friendship started. He's always been the eternal runner-up, lagging behind me in every aspect of academics. Now that he's finally figured out how to deal with me, he's naturally going to make his move. Then I'll thank you in advance, young Master Chen. If the James family dies, it brings me no benefit, as this is my property. The James family's recognition banquet made it to the trending searches, and Simon James was sentenced to death with a 2-year reprieve for intentional homicide with cruel methods. Not long after, a scandalous video of the James family's adopted daughter was exposed. The James family's stock plummeted, and contracts that expired were not renewed. After Alan James was deposed, he became deeply depressed and attempted suicide several times. Evan James was diagnosed with a myocardial infarction and has collapsed. Bruce James took over the company, but he has always been frivolous and knows nothing about these matters, so I stepped in, balancing my studies while helping the company recover from the brink, and clearing up the issues surrounding Jenny James. As for Simon James's situation, it couldn't be whitewashed. But it didn't matter, whether it's positive or negative attention, it's still attention. If used well, it could still be useful. I worked harder than anyone else. Under my step-by-step manipulation, I gained a voice within the James family. Wendy didn't want to die. She came to me asking me to donate bone marrow, and I agreed, because I knew she wouldn't live long enough for me to donate. Bruce James had been in a car accident and died on the spot, because of drunk driving. He crashed into a large tree in the middle of the night. By the time he was found, his body had already stiffened. Wendy couldn't handle the shock and was so enraged that she became paralyzed. The shares of the 3 sons of the James family all fell into my hands. By the time Evan James woke up, the James group had already undergone a major upheaval, because I had secured the cooperation with the Chen group, driving the company's market value to its peak. He could only hold my hand, giving me all his shares, begging me to save the James family business. I smiled and accepted. What he didn't know was that I had been putting medicine in his four every day, which was why his paralysis was getting worse and worse. On the day he was about to die, he called me to the hospital room and said, I trust you with the James family business. I leaned close to him and said, you can rest assured, because I've been planning this for a long time, it won't slip away, and you can die now. He heard my words and died with his eyes wide open, but I felt great. Wendy also died, but before she died, she stared at me. It can't be like this, it can't be, you're a ghost. I leaned close to her ear and whispered, go in peace. I've been cooking porridge for you for so long, it couldn't have been clean. I wish you an early death and a swift rebirth. She also died with her eyes wide open. Alan James was the last surviving member of the James family. On the day he slit his wrists, he called me over. He was lying in the bathtub, still breathing. I know you're back, you blame us. I pressed his hand into the water. Yes, you can go ahead and die, talk less, focus on dying. After all, if I were as useless as you, I would have given up on life long ago." He stared at me in terror, and in the end, he died with his eyes wide open. I'm in an excellent mood because the entire James family now belongs to me. By the time I graduated from university, I was already the executive president of the James Group. I went to visit Jenny James. She lives in a psychiatric hospital, and I also cover her hospitalization expenses. How did she go insane? Probably from watching the video of Bob's tragic death. It scared her out of her mind, or perhaps it was that one pill I gave her. I still have some regrets. Bob died too early. He should have beaten Jenny James a few times, so she could understand what kind of life I lived in my past life. As for Edwin Chen, he confessed his feelings to me on graduation day. I laughed out loud and said, "Let's talk about it when you surpass me." He immediately ignited his fighting spirit. All right, I gazed at the sunset, thinking that if I had foreseen everything in my previous life, I could have turned the tables too, but by the time I realized it, I was already crushed under the weight of capital, and no amount of struggle could change that. Someone like Edwin Chen, in my past life, wouldn't have intervened even if he had discovered the truth, because by then I had already lost. What he admired was the woman who would never lose to him, so he could never surpass me in this lifetime. As long as he doesn't surpass me, I can keep him under control. Such a small man, so easy to appease. If I were to live another life and still feel oppressed, still at the mercy of others, then this chance at rebirth might as well be given to someone who needs it. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. My best friend brought home a wild snake. I advised her that it would be best to hand the wild snake over to the Animal Association for care. Little did I expect that I would end up being resented by the wild snake because of this. It grants my best friend the ability to read minds, allowing her to publish the novel plots that were originally in my head. One step ahead of me, I was branded with the stigma of plagiarism, despised by readers, and loathed by the website, while she, stepping on my shoulders, became a genius novelist. I was powerless and furious, gripping my best friend's neck, demanding to know why. The little white snake behind her had transformed into a giant python. It bared its fangs and swallowed me whole in one bite. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day my best friend brought home the wild snake. Fool, how dare you send our snake immortal to the Animal Protection Association? Do you have any idea that you almost cost me the chance to be blessed by the snake immortal? Aren't you wondering why every time you write a novel, I manage to publish it online before you? Let me tell you, the snake immortal has long granted me the power of mind reading. Everything in your mind is now in the palm of my hand. After the giant python devoured me completely, it spat out my remains. My best friend, Nina Song, gazed at my bones and revealed the truth one by one. Only then did I realize why every plot I had racked my brains to come up with was published online by Nina Song, word for word. It is not an ordinary wild snake, but a snake immortal with the power of mind reading. Sherry, look what I brought back. Nina Song walked into the house holding a small, snow-white snake. The fear of being devoured by a giant serpent still lingered in my mind. I look around and realize I've been reborn. It's the first day Nina Song brought back the wild snake. This snake is very spiritual. It understands everything I say. I want to keep it. You don't mind, do you? Nina Song strokes the little white snake's head. The little white snake flicked its tongue. Its cold, sharp eyes gleamed with intelligence. I swallowed hard. A sense of awe filled my heart, not daring to mention a single word about sending the wild snake to the Animal Protection Association. Instead, I cautiously praised, "This little snake is so beautiful and adorable. Where did you bring it back from?" Hearing my praise, the little white snake raised its neck, as if quite pleased. Nina Song frowned, clearly not liking that I was trying to please the little white snake. Sherry, you must be so used to flattering editors and readers that you even have to flatter my little white snake. I shook my head repeatedly. No, I'm not flattering, I'm sincere. Nina Song snorted coldly. Sherry, one should be sincere. I know you don't like my little white snake, and there's no need to pretend you do. All right, no need to explain. No matter how many compliments you give my little white snake, it will always be mine, and you can't even think of touching it. I smiled awkwardly. Of course, after all, you are the owner of the little white snake. Nina Song gave me a disdainful glance, then gently said to the little white snake, "My little white snake, are you hungry? Let me get you some beef to eat. After you finish, remember to fulfill my wish." Nina Song then took a piece of fresh beef from the refrigerator. She carefully cut it into small pieces and fed them to the little snake bit by bit. The little snake ate happily, and as it locked eyes with Nina Song, the scene was particularly harmonious. After the little snake finished eating, it yawned. Nina Song carried the little snake back to the room. I immediately followed and pressed my ear against the wooden door. Little white snake, you promised to grant me one wish. I want to become a genius novelist who surpasses Sherry. A red light suddenly appeared from the crack in the door. I heard the voice of the little white snake. Right now, my abilities are limited, so I can only grant you the power of plagiarism. You can copy the novel plots from Sherry Lincoln's mind and turn them into your own stories, then publish them online before she does. By then, you'll be able to step on Sherry Lincoln's shoulders and become a novelist. Nina Song was thrilled. Great. I'm sure I can become a novelist who surpasses Sherry Lincoln. I clutched my heart and returned to my room. I carefully recalled every detail of the past. Nina Song and I grew up together, graduated together, came to this city to strive together, and have been sharing an apartment ever since. If I had something to eat, she would have a share too. When we got our salaries, we celebrated together. She knew about my dream of becoming a novelist and had always encouraged me. When did it change? It seems like it was after she found out my novel became a hit. She started making sarcastic remarks, targeting me everywhere. Indeed, human nature can't withstand disparity and comparison. I stared at the screen filled with readers' demands for updates. I stared at the editors' submit the manuscript message in our chat. I made a bold decision in my heart. I wrote an 800-word discontinuation notice. Then I immediately published and uploaded it to my author backend. Soon after, I received a verbal attack from my editor. Why did you stop updating? This book is performing really well. It has the potential to hit the top charts. Didn't you always want to become a top-tier author? The opportunity is right around the corner. Why are you suddenly giving up? After reaching the peak with this book, there's still a chance to enter the Hall of Fame. I even discussed with the operations team to give you full channel promotion. Several publishing houses have also been contacting the website to buy the copyright for this book, not to mention the IP department, which has already submitted your book for the top 10 most influential works of the year competition. Stopping updates now is undoubtedly seeking death, courting destruction, looking for a way to end it all. I'm about to kneel before you. What do you mean by indefinite hiatus? I could forgive you for 2 days, but this, you have to explain it to me clearly. Why are you stopping updates? Why? In less than a minute, in the phone chat window with the editor, I received nearly 100 messages. Even through the text alone, I could feel the editor's fury and heartache. Even though I poured countless efforts into this book, even though I have been striving on the path of writing novels for decades, even though the peak ranking is within reach, even though becoming a top-tier author is just around the corner. But I have no way out, and no choice. No matter what, I don't want to relive the misery of my past life. I took a few deep breaths and typed out this line on the computer, my face pale. I'm sorry, editor, I just can't write anymore. The editor sent me 1,000 crying emojis, but before I could even try to console the editor, who was already on the verge of a breakdown, I received tens of thousands of insults and abuse from readers on the website's back end. The author who promised to eat shit if they stopped updating. Are you going to perform a handstand while eating shit for us now? Damn, I stayed up for 3 nights making a silly animated video to promote your book on social media, and this is how you treat me? Have you run out of talent? Don't know how to fill in the plot holes anymore? Fuck, I just spent money on this book. Are you trying to run off after making a profit? Get your ass back here and finish writing. I need to know who the female lead ends up with in the end. Damn it, refund, refund, refund. Upstairs, tomato novel is free. Damn it, compensate me for my emotional distress. Pay up, pay up, pay up. I humbly bowed and scraped to apologize to the readers who had insulted me, but my apology did not earn their forgiveness. Instead, it brought even more vicious curses. Of course, many book fans also expressed support for my decision. They can empathize with my reluctance to create hastily when inspiration is lacking. They believe that my decision to pause updates must have been made out of necessity. I am grateful for their understanding. Suddenly, Nina Song barged into my room, holding the little white snake. She looked at me with a reproachful expression and questioned, Sherry, why did you stop updating? Your novel was doing so well, and you even said the editor contacted you about selling the film and TV rights. Why did you stop writing? Here she comes, she's finally here. I let out a soft sigh and made up an excuse. I'm afraid this book might have a disappointing ending. I need to carefully think through the upcoming plot. My mind has been too tense for too long. so I need to relax for a while. I'll resume writing once I have inspiration again. Nina Song, upon hearing this, was still uneasy. But why did you say you were stopping updates indefinitely? How long is indefinitely? I patiently replied, it's just a gimmick. If I didn't say that, how could those haters push me to the top of the charts? Look, I made 10,000 yuan just from tips today. Occasionally stirring up readers' emotions helps boost the book's performance. Nina Song visibly breathed a sigh of relief. So you just need to take a break for a while. You scared me. I thought you were quitting the circle. When do you plan to update? Then, I casually said, in a few days. Then I reached out and took the abalone can from the table, handing it to Nina Song. This is an abalone can the website sent me. See if you want to share it with the little white snake. It might like it. The little white snake was slightly taken aback as I opened the can, and the aroma wafted out. The little white snake gave Nina Song a pleading look. Nina Song, however, decisively refused, saying, my little white snake only eats fresh things. Who knows how many preservatives are in that can? Forget it, I'd rather go to the market and buy Wagyu beef for it. Nina Song left, holding the little white snake. I clearly saw the little white snake looking utterly disappointed. I curled my lips, then I opened a web page and searched for, what do snakes like to eat the most? Looking at the wide array of explanations, I had already made up my mind, for several days in a row. Nina Song always buys the most expensive Wagyu beef at the market, but Wagyu beef is really expensive. Even though I pay for the rent and utilities, after all, she only earns 5,000 yuan a month. She already carries a heavy burden just to maintain a decent life for herself. Now she has to take care of a little white snake that eats and drinks a lot. She can only tighten her own expenses to serve the little white snake. If she can't afford Wagyu beef, she'll buy ordinary beef instead. Can't afford beef, so I'll buy pork. When even pork becomes hard to order, I'll have to settle for frozen chicken, duck, or processed meat. My little white snake, please bear with it for a while. Once I start earning money, once I become a genius novelist, I'll buy you the best meat in the world. The little white snake looked at the food that was getting worse day by day. It was also quite helpless. After all, I've been idle lately. I haven't been creating at all. Nina Song couldn't steal the novel plot from my mind. So how could she publish it online ahead of time and earn royalties? Sherry, what are you busy with? Why aren't you thinking about writing your novel yet? Nina Song, holding the little white snake, urged me. I played with the small fish I had just bought in the fish tank, looking relaxed as I said, my mind is completely blank, I can't think of anything. Sigh, let me just relax for a bit. Nina Song frowned, clearly annoyed by my lack of ambition, but the little white snake in her arms stared intently at the fish in my small aquarium, drooling with desire. I curled my lips slightly, remaining calm on the surface while everything was already brewing in my mind. After lunch, I went to the flower and bird market. I bought a few edible quails and kept them in a bird cage. Returning home, I opened the door. As expected, a few of my small fish in the bathtub were missing. The culprit was right next to the bathtub, lying there with a full belly. The little snake was clearly overstuffed from eating too much after being hungry for so long. It saw me and lazily flicked its tongue, as if saying, yes, it was me, the snake immortal, who ate your fish. What are you going to do about it? Without showing any emotion, I placed the quail next to the bathtub and poured a glass of mineral water beside the little snake. I said gently, come to me whenever you're hungry from now on. You can eat as many small fish or birds as you like. I'll also look for some easy-to-raise live creatures to bring you some fresh treats. The little white snake was taken aback, its body stiffening. I smiled and said, since I'm resting these days, you can come keep me company more often. I quite like you, too. The little white snake's expression shifted slightly, but after hesitating for a long while, its eyes still held a hint of hostility toward me. I knew that winning someone over required time and affection, and the same must be true for a snake. For several days in a row, the little white snake did not enter my room, probably wanting to express loyalty to Nina Song, but it couldn't resist the delicious food I had here. Besides small fish and birds, I also bought bullfrogs, loaches, snails, earthworms. All kinds of live baits are a blatant temptation in front of little white snake, not to mention that the old, frozen zombie meat in the fridge doesn't taste good. Even the flawlessly packaged fresh Wagyu beef from the premium supermarket can't compare to the lively little fish, little cows, little earthworms. So, the little white snake ultimately succumbed to the temptation of delicious food. I was sitting in front of the computer, browsing adult content. the little white snake quietly slithered up to my small fish tank. At first, it was a bit polite, only eating 1 or 2 small fish. Later, seeing that I had taken the initiative to open the birdcage, it gradually became more and more unrestrained, a tank of small fish, a cage of birds, a basin of loaches, a bucket of snails and earthworms, that was barely enough for its daily appetite. Watching it grow bigger and bigger, watching it eat more and more each day, I also began to sit in front of the computer, pondering the plot of my novel, Little White Snake. I'm sorry you'll have to endure a few more days of frozen synthetic meat. I'm about to start making money now, and my creative juices are flowing. I must finish writing this article before Sherry Lincoln. After I updated continuously for a week, the book, with the strong promotion from the editors and the website, returned to the top spot on the charts once again. At the same time, something identical to what happened in my previous life occurred. Online, voices began to emerge, questioning whether I had plagiarized. You all should go check out another author on a certain site called Six Waters. The novel they're writing is exactly the same as this one. Not only is the content the same, but Six Waters is updating faster than this book. Holy crap, is this top-ranked book by fan plagiarized? The author, Six Waters, immediately posted an explanation in their own comments section. This book is my first signed work, and I hope everyone likes it. I also hope you can give it a boost. Help me get on the rankings. Also, for readers questioning whether this book is original, please check the update time carefully. I guarantee, this book is absolutely original. The readers below were utterly confused, yet they couldn't refute that she had updated earlier than I did. Even the editor came to ask me what was going on. I had no choice but to explain that my computer had broken down and was taken to a repair shop, which might have leaked the draft. Additionally, I repeatedly assured the editor that the article was entirely my own original work, which finally put her at ease. She also asked me to notify her once the leaked portion of the manuscript was fully published, so that the website could issue a statement on my behalf to protect my rights. As for Nina Song, in order to write more efficiently and publish the latest chapters one step ahead of schedule, she specifically quit her job and locked herself in her room to type away at the keyboard. I took my time, posting 1 or 2 chapters of my drafts each day. Occasionally, when picking up takeout, I would run into Nina Song. I asked her, "Are you writing a novel too? I can hear the sound of your keyboard coming from your room every day." She snorted lightly and said, "What? Is the online novel website owned by your family? You can write, but I can't." I laughed. "Not really, I just want to know what you wrote and take a look." She said arrogantly, "You wouldn't understand what I write. But there will come a day when you can see it. Just wait a little longer, until I become famous." With that, she walked into her room, wolfed down her takeout, and started typing frantically, so much so that she completely forgot about the little white snake, not to mention buying frozen synthetic meat for the little white snake. While Nina Song was striving hard, I gradually fed the little white snake until it grew into a large snake. Of course, it could control its size on its own, and it would only stretch out its body when I wasn't around. Nina Song doesn't seem to know what she's busy with. I really want to invite her to eat live seafood, but I'm not sure if she'll go. However, little snakes should be able to eat live seafood too, right? Do you think you'd like salmon and king crab? Still prefer clams, squid, sea cucumbers? Upon hearing me say this, the little white snake's eyes lit up, so I continued along the same line. Either don't disturb Nina Song, or I'll take you to eat. If you're willing to go, just crawl into my backpack. The little white snake didn't hesitate at all. It immediately crawled into the bag. I grabbed my bag and took a taxi to the most expensive seafood buffet in the city. As soon as I entered, the sight of fresh fish and shrimp was as beautiful as an exhibition in an aquarium. I placed the little white snake on the seat and took on the role of the waiter. I delivered the fresh large shrimp, big fish, and large crabs one by one to the dining table. The little white snake ate with great delight, its eyes narrowing into slits. By the time it had eaten and drunk its fill, the restaurant was about to close. Carrying a backpack that had grown dozens of pounds heavier, I staggered home. As I lay in bed resting, I could still hear the sound of keyboard typing coming from the next room. Nina Song is so diligent, with such perseverance. What could she not succeed in? I gently stroked the little white snake's small head. The little white snake flicked its tongue. There was a hint of guilt in its eyes, but it remained loyal, wagging its tail at me before returning to Nina Song's room. Seeing it leave, I also pulled out a yellow book to continue reading, then removed the violent and explicit content involving pornography, gambling, and drugs, and combined it with my own book to create a collaborative imitation. thus, under Nina Song's skillful hands. My fantasy novel with a touch of suspense gradually took a turn toward romance. Meanwhile, in my comments section, I saw readers saying, "I'm sure you're the original author, please update soon, I can't stand how the pirated version is messing with the main characters anymore, damn it, they have to kiss when breaking into a secret room, kiss when fighting the boss, kiss when they're about to die, and even kiss when they find out someone's still alive. Can this brain-dead idle drama romance plot just go away? I'm warning you, if you make the main characters as lovey-dovey as in the pirated version, I'll definitely curse you." To reassure Nina Song, I deliberately expressed in the comments section, "Maybe I've been single for too long, I want to be in a relationship too." Of course, doing so also attracted readers scolding, "Sigh, it's so hard to be a person. Being a good person who lives up to one's own standards is even harder. Sherry, you. Have you been thinking about dating recently?" Nina Song rarely sat in the living room eating takeout. I smiled slightly and didn't respond. She then asked, "I think in your recent novel concepts, you could reduce the interactions between the male and female leads and focus more on the suspenseful and fantastical plotlines." I pretended to be taken aback. The storylines I've been writing lately are all in the suspenseful and fantastical genre, with no interactions between the male and female leads. But how did you know I was planning to add more interactions between them? She gave an awkward smile. "I was just guessing randomly. Anyway, if you continue developing the story, try to write less about the romantic subplot between the male and female leads. As a reader, I prefer the main plot more." I raised an eyebrow. "Didn't you say before that you didn't like reading my books? When did you become my reader?" She became even more embarrassed. "Oh, the ones you wrote before weren't that good, and I didn't want to discourage you, so I just said I didn't like them, but this one is really well written. I had nothing to do that day, so I casually flipped through it and got hooked." "I've been waiting for you to update," I asked. "Haven't you been writing a novel lately too? How long are you planning to keep it from me?" She coughed twice. "Just wait a bit longer, until I achieve some results." After saying that, she went back to her room. I opened my phone and clicked on the author, Six Waters, homepage. Under the latest chapter update, there was a flood of scathing comments. "Six Waters, you really are full of water. How did you even come up with this kind of plot with your brain? Is it filled with shit? I can't believe I skipped the free content and actually went to recharge on a certain site to read this pile of crap. You'd better stop writing now, before I come and scold you. What on earth is going on?" These are all supposed to be the plot points from Sherry Lincoln's mind. How can they be so terrible? Little white snake, is there something wrong somewhere? The editor is even questioning whether I'm just a fraud. The editor said they're going to remove all my recommendations. Think of something. Nina Song kept complaining about the little white snake. The little white snake was also quite innocent. The plagiarism technique definitely works. Just wait and see. Sherry Lincoln will definitely update with the same content. It can only be said that she might have really hit a creative block, so she can't produce anything good. Lately, I've just been writing in fits and starts, with no real drive to push myself. Nina Song gritted her teeth, resigned to her fate. Fine, even if Sherry Lincoln's writing is utter garbage, I can still step on her shoulders to make a name for myself. Once Sherry Lincoln gets labeled as a plagiarist, and after I attend the author conference at a certain platform, I'll pick an even more talented author. Then you can help me bind with them, and I'll step on their shoulders to write my novels. I'll become a gold-digging author. The little white snake nodded repeatedly. Yet those absurd plotlines continued to unfold under Nina Song's fingertips. "Author, go to hell. How dare you make the female lead a mistress for the villain? The author must have lost their mother, otherwise how could they write such a universally despised plot? Alright, the female lead has had relationships with villain number 1, number 2, and number 3, and now she's flirting with villain number 4. Am I reading a censored version of a novel or what?" "Upstairs, you reminded me. This seems to be a novel from a certain flower, although the article has been taken down. I clearly remember that the female lead in it followed this exact direction. A single stone stirred up 1,000 waves." Some readers actually created a color palette and posted it in the comments section. Nina Song woke up one morning. Her world had collapsed. "Nina Song, what's going on? I staked my entire career on vouching that this was your original work. And I fought so hard to get you all those recommendations. Is this how you repay me?" My ear was pressed against the wooden door of Nina Song's room, and I could clearly hear her voice call with her editor. I must have been out of my damn mind to believe the nonsense from a newcomer with no track record. "How dare you even claim that the top-ranked author on QZ plagiarized you? Have you no shame?" Nina Song sobbed tearfully. I don't know what happened, but I really didn't plagiarize, please. Editor, I beg you, don't take away my recommendations. Still recommending, you must be dreaming. The website has already ordered you to delete the book and take it down. With no further cooperation, I called just to curse you out, you shameless plagiarizing dog. Get lost, don't ever submit to me again. Immediately after, the other party hung up the phone. Nina Song burst into uncontrollable sobs. The little white snake stayed by her side, comforting her, saying, "Don't be sad. Maybe we can think of other ways. Plagiarism techniques aren't limited to novels, they can apply to research, biology, medicine. As long as we can find someone with that ability, we can." The little white snake hadn't finished speaking. Nina Song slapped the little white snake on the head. That blow nearly knocked the little white snake unconscious. Help my ass, get lost right now. You're just an ordinary and common snake, and I actually believed you could help me get rich overnight. You've eaten so much of my Wagyu beef, spent so much of my money, and yet you dare treat me like this. If I had known it would come to this, I should have just let you get bitten to death by a stray dog on the street. I never should have saved you. The little white snake still wanted to comfort her. Nina Song had already stomped on its body. The little white snake suffered internal injuries, and a mouthful of blood gushed out. I rushed in urgently and stopped Nina Song's violent behavior. Don't hit it, it's just a small pet snake. Since you agreed to feed it, why are you hurting it again? Seeing me, Nina Song narrowed her eyes. How I treat it is none of your business. It's my pet. Get out. The little white snake looked at me with red-rimmed eyes, clearly hoping I would save it. It's just that, I'm really sorry, little white snake. It's not yet time for me to save you. I could only say regretfully, yes. The little white snake is yours, not mine. It's just such a good little white snake. Please treat it well. After saying that, I closed the door and left. Soon after, the sound of abuse came from inside the room. What did that look you gave Sherry Lincoln mean? Do you want her to be your master? Don't think I don't know she's been feeding you live prey these past few days. How could you be so easily bought off by her? Get this straight, I am your master. Now, make me rich overnight. I'm going back to post on that cat platform. Make me famous, do you understand? Otherwise, I'll kill you. Since you've already formed a contract with me, don't even think about escaping me in this lifetime. The little white snake looked innocent and pitiful. Every time it saw me, it would cast a pleading glance my way. I deeply sympathize with this. But there's nothing I can do. I can only leave the door open, allowing the little white snake to enter and enjoy the feast while Nina Song is fully immersed in plagiarizing the storylines from my mind. After it has eaten and drunk its fill, it dares not linger here for long. Each time it leaves, it does so reluctantly. I can only give it a small hint. Perhaps only when Nina Song is gone will you truly be free. The little white snake took these words to heart. Coming to my place every day to eat and drink, its appetite was more than double what it used to be. Seeing it gradually develop a tendency to become a giant python, the little white snake finally spoke to me. Sherry Lincoln, thank you for feeding me all this time. I pretended to be terrified. You can actually talk. The little white snake's eyes immediately turned red, and it told me exactly what happened between it and Nina Song when they formed their contract. I have formed a bond with Nina Song, so I can only recognize her as my master. I have no choice but to fulfill her wishes, allowing her to plagiarize the storylines in your mind. It's just that you might have hit a creative block recently. After Nina Song copied the plot from your mind, both the editors and readers criticized her harshly. She didn't become an overnight success, so she took out all her frustration on me. I'm sorry, Sherry Lincoln. I was stunned for a long time before responding. It's okay, but can you really let Nina Song steal the ideas from my mind? The little white snake nodded. However, I have already bound her plagiarism technique to an old failure. She is now dreaming of becoming a god overnight. Upon hearing the little white snake's words, I understood that it was time for me to resume my daily updates. Sherry Lincoln, can you help me break the contract between me and Nina Song? How can I help you? Feed me, raise me into a giant python. In my previous life, it was this little white snake before me that transformed into a giant python and devoured me. I nodded solemnly and made a special trip to the flower and bird market the next day. Finding the largest supplier there, I asked the owner to deliver at least 100 pounds of small fish, birds, and other live creatures to me every day. The address was filled in at another unfinished building within the residential complex where I live. I gave the key to the little white snake for safekeeping. It can control its own feeding time. Why didn't you recommend it to me? Why is the data for the book I wrote so poor? All the top-ranked books on that platform are copying mine. I submitted my work to you because I think highly of you. Where's the recommendation? Hurry up and arrange it. I want full channel promotion. I want to sell print rights. I want to sell film and TV rights. Don't force me to switch platforms. Do you even know how to be an editor? You don't see the potential in my masterpiece. Are you blind? I overheard Nina's song on a voice call with the new editor. Amidst the continuous accusations and insults, I couldn't help but sympathize with how that editor could have encountered such a crazy author. At the same time, because I had already resumed normal updates, the latest content I published had completely overshadowed what Six Waters had previously posted online. The direction of my story also didn't go as crazy as Six Waters, in adding romantic plotlines between the male and female leads. For this reason, my editor also helped me apply to the website for an announcement, specifically stating that my computer had broken down and was taken to a repair shop, where the manuscript was leaked. We condemn any incidents of unauthorized submission, theft, or plagiarism of manuscripts. If such incidents occur, they can be reported to our official email. Eggplant has always been committed to the great cause of promoting reading and writing for all. Protecting every original author is our responsibility. After the announcement was released, all the copyrights for my book were finalized on that day. Readers who once accused me of plagiarism have all come to apologize to me, but how could I truly be angry with my patrons? Naturally, I responded with one, "It's okay, sweetie," after another, reassuring them. Meanwhile, the already banned account and book, Six Waters, were once again pushed to the top of the novel community's trending topics by readers. Moreover, the editor who had been angered by Six Waters vented his frustration by releasing their chat logs. The content was filled with Six Waters assuring that her work was original, along with the editor's bold claims about promoting her as a platinum author. Releasing these records undoubtedly added a touch of humor to the whole affair. It also further boosted the popularity of my novel. In the silence, with the substantial copyright fees the website sent me, I simply went to the capital and bought a villa. Occasionally, I would meet up with my editor and fellow authors in person, discussing life and dreams freely. Nina Song probably realized I had long disappeared by the end of the year. When my new home was delivered, she called me, asking where I was. Naturally, I wouldn't tell her my address. I just said I was tired, going on a trip, and would be back in a while. She didn't hesitate. After all, I was still paying the rent. Along with the rent, I also pay for another house full of living creatures. You said you could turn me into a genius novelist who surpasses Sherry Lincoln. Why is she thriving in both film and publishing, while I'm still a hopeless failure? I've been writing 30,000 words a day, like an AI robot, with such intense updates. Even selling scrap drafts should earn more than just a few cents. Nina Song looked at the daily earnings of 3 to 5 cents in the author's back end, feeling furious all over. How could she have known that the struggling author bound to her by the little white snake was an experienced writer with an overactive imagination? It was precisely because the old author's mind was too cluttered with ideas that they couldn't produce good writing. Nina Song was so angry that she slapped the little white snake's head again and again. She kicked the little white snake's body over and over. During the day, it acted as a punching bag for Nina Song. At night, it would go to the room filled with living creatures and feast to its heart's content. In just half a year's time, the once weak and boneless little white snake had already grown into a towering giant serpent. While attending the annual Top 10 Influential Authors Gala, I received a call from my old landlord. "Is this Sherry Lincoln? Do you remember renting a place from me before?" I nodded repeatedly. "Landlord, what's up? Is the rent due? Are you raising the price this year? I'll transfer it to you right away." No, there's a bit of an issue with the apartment. Could you come back for a visit?" The landlord is a very kind old lady, with her children all abroad and her own health not being great. Out of kindness, I specifically booked a ticket to go back. Just as I arrived at the entrance of the residential area, I saw quite a few police cars. The house was even cordoned off with police tape. The police, upon learning that I was Sherry Lincoln, took a brief statement from me. "Did you know that this Nina Song previously kept a wild snake?" the police asked. I replied, "Yes, I know, she did keep a snake." The police continued, "The snake she kept is a rare species, a man-eating python. She was likely eaten by the python, and this pile of bones is what the python regurgitated." I was startled. "Are you saying Nina Song is dead?" The police nodded. "Yes, not only is Nina Song dead, but that giant python is also dead. It was probably food poisoning." There's an abandoned building nearby where a supplier from a flower and bird market kept many birds and fish. the snake was likely raised on these. But the python didn't know that the birds and fish stored there by the supplier were all sick. The owner couldn't bear to see them suffer, so he gave them euthanasia injections. This kind of injection is harmless to humans and ordinary animals, but it is fatal to snakes. The vitality of the giant python is extraordinary, yet, it ultimately couldn't withstand such massive consumption. After the police concluded their preliminary investigation, they determined that Nina Song's death was purely an accident caused by the illegal feeding of wild animals. The landlady was very sorry about this. I was afraid her house would be hard to rent out in the future, so, out of humanitarian concern, I compensated her with the corresponding rent. The old lady was also very grateful for this. Looking at the white bones on the ground and the corpse of the giant serpent, I slightly curled my lips. Then, I made a call to the flower and bird market owner. "Boss, the final payment has been settled with you. There's no need to send any more in the future," the flower and bird shop owner said with a smile. "All right, feel free to contact me anytime you need anything in the future. I'll give you a discount, 50% off." Eliminating man-eating giant pythons is practically doing a public service. After hanging up the phone, I returned to the capital, furiously writing away. My book has finally come to a perfect conclusion, under the website's arrangements. I attended various events and became the hottest rising star. I dared not stop or rest, fearing that all this hard-earned success would vanish like the wind. At the new book launch, amidst a sea of enthusiastic fans, a little girl held my new book, wanting me to sign it for her. "Ma'am, I really love it. I want to become a novelist in the future too. Do you think I can do it?" Looking at the clarity and innocence in the little girl's eyes, I smiled and said, "Encouraging someone to write books is like inviting a thunderbolt from the sky. Little girl, focus on your studies first. The path ahead is right under your feet." After hearing the 2 stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.